Welcome to episode number 5 of the Hobbies and Happiness podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Dan.
And I'm Jim.
And today is an exciting day, Jim.
Yeah, I know. It's going to be great.
It's going to be great. Today we have our first ever guest on the podcast. And the guest is none other than Bobby.
Bobby.
What's up, Bobby? Bobby is also better known as my brother-in-law, Michael Fernandez.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's up, Michael?
Nothing much. Just excited to be here.
All right. With that, let's just get into it. Let's go. So, for those of you who did not get the reference to Bobby, just go listen to our last episode. Just go listen to it.
Yeah,
Just,
you need to listen to 4.
You need to listen to it.
I didn't get it till like 30 minutes ago.
And if you haven't listened to it, then what are you doing? Michael, what are you doing, man?
I'm working on it. I'm episode 3.
That's
Dan,
fair.
you also didn't tell
fair.
me he was going to be doing this till earlier today.
You know what? No, I resent that. I resent that because you know what?
Yeah.
We did have a conversation. Now, you are actually kind of correct when I didn't specify.
Changed my mind.
I didn't specify, so that's fair. That is a fair criticism.
Okay.
That is a fair criticism. So, what is up, Michael? I'm excited to have you here. Are you excited to be here?
I am excited to be here.
Sweet. That's awesome. So, okay. Michael is our first guest. Me and Jim, we've talked about this quite a bit, haven't we, Jim? And we kind of want to have multiple people from the community on the podcast because one of the pillars of why we're doing this.
It's the number one thing, essentially.
100% is community. Community, in my opinion and in my estimation, and I want to know if you agree with this, community starts with family. I think community does start with family.
I can see that.
It starts.
Oh, yeah.
It starts.
Yes.
Like it's not the epitome.
Yes.
It's not everything about community, but I think it starts with community.
Yeah, I can see that.
So in that vein, we brought on Michael, my brother-in-law.
You?
So Michael, how have you been, man?
I've been good. I was very interested in doing this and was kind of curious what we were going to do tonight. I've listened to some, and it's mainly just been you guys just, like, talking about things you like. And so, like, being the first guest, I'm like, I have no idea what to expect from this.
Well, guess what? We're going to talk about things you like.
Because the things that you like pretty much are the things we like. Is that
very
similar?
people.
Fair?
Very
Okay.
similar.
Other
Okay,
people.
all right, sweet. So before we even
Can I ask him? I want to ask him the question.
Go ahead.
So, Michael, I've heard a story, and we need to get your view on this
Okay.
story. So
let's
I will
just
ask this one
Yes,
question.
Please ask the question.
In a game called Secret Hitler, please give us your view on that faithful night.
All right, and my one request is, Dan, no speaking, no commenting.
Like
this
in
is
general?
my view. You can talk, but no correcting. No, this is my view of the story.
I mean,
okay?
sure.
All right,
here we go.
So we'll have our moments, I guess. So go ahead.
To give some overview, Dan and I are insanely competitive
I mean, that's
with
an understatement.
every kind of game we play.
Yeah.
And so in a game like Secret Hitler, where you're constantly trying to figure out who the bad guys are and who to not trust, the first thing I always think in that game is Dan is bad. Unless I know I'm bad.
I mean, that's fair.
The first thing I think is Dan is bad. And everyone knows, including Dan, who commented on it on the game before the sacred game that went down in history.
That one game.
Where he literally said, Michael, I know your first thought is always, I'm the guilty one.
Yeah.
So trust me this time. And I was like, no, I don't trust you. So then the
respect
fateful
that.
game comes. Me and Dan are both bad.
Yeah.
By that he means we're on the same team.
We are on the
Yeah.
same team, but we are the ones trying to trick everyone else.
Right.
Knowing this information and being one of the first people to play anything in the game, I had to pick someone to be my second in command. Obviously, I'm not going to pick Dan because everyone knows my first instinct is to not trust him. So if I all of a sudden go, it's the beginning of the game,
yeah, that
you know
is-
what?
that is a
Let me
little different,
trust
yeah.
Dan.
But it was actually kind of interesting at the end.
That's one thing he
which
didn't
is
bring
fair.
up.
No.
Yeah.
I did bring that up.
Of him bringing that logic into the next game of everyone knows I don't trust Dan, so why would I pick him?
Well, okay, I don't know if I said that specifically. I don't know if I said that specifically.
I'm glad you brought that up, Michael.
Well, okay,
Thank you.
In fairness,
Yeah.
I don't know if I specified that in the episode, but I did know that. Like
Okay.
I did know
I got
that.
you.
So if I didn't specify that, I did know that.
Okay.
So that's fair.
Yeah.
Like that's fair. So continue.
So it's my turn. I have to pick someone second in command. I obviously cannot pick Dan. Everyone will know it's us if I pick Dan.
Yeah.
So I pick one of my more gullible cousins.
Okay.
And I go, okay, Dan is the person sitting next to me, so he was going to be first in command next turn.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I'll pick someone, whatever. Dan can pick someone else. Chances are there's like a
Keywords.
Chances.
There is a very low chance of you drawing two of the good cards at one time.
Yeah.
I do actually want to figure out what the odds are.
I know. I was trying to come up with it in my
I'm
head.
sure it's somewhere out there. Yeah.
I haven't. Yeah.
I think 1 out of 3 cards are the good cards.
Oh, so
So-
And
to
by
get
by
two
good
of them.
cards, you mean liberal.
The liberal cards. I don't know how much you specified on how this game works. So I was just trying to be
We
basic.
went through the we went through like the whole shebang.
Okay.
So if you don't know how Secret Hitler works, go back to episode the previous episode.
Yeah. So I picked someone else, not Dan, to be my partner. And I was like, there's such a low chance of me drawing 2 liberal cards. I'm most likely going to draw at least 2 fascist. I can get rid of any liberals, hand over the fascist. We get a fascist played.
Yeah.
Easy.
Right.
It's the beginning of the game. Super easy to call. I just got 3 fascists. Like,
Yeah.
sorry, guys. Like, I tried my best. I draw 2 liberals.
Ooh,
Right.
Okay.
So I have
happens.
to give one
Yeah.
to
Right.
my cousin.
Right.
So a liberal gets played. Whatever. I'm in good standing. I look okay.
Yeah.
We played a liberal.
Yeah.
Right.
So it goes over to Dan's turn. The game keeps going. The draws on that game were insane because we literally drew a liberal every turn after that. Like literally every single turn after that, another liberal was drawn. So by the time we got all the way around, we had like 4 out of the 5 liberals played.
It's that RNG. It's
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
RNG.
Yep.
It's
And
RNG.
so we got to the end. They ended up getting all of them played, and Dan was not too thrilled with me for my beginning decision.
then that is an understatement. Now, which I did know in the podcast was I get that, and I get it.
Yeah.
It was funny though, as we're arguing about this, and I'm not even gonna say like talking because we were 100% arguing about it.
Oh yeah,
we were
full-on
literally
argument.
at each other's
trying to
throats.
hold ourselves back to not wake the children.
Yes. So it was funny though, because as we're arguing, he he thought he had me basically when he went, okay, well let me ask my sister here. Hey sister, if I did this, would you have been suspicious? And she went, no, I would not have. Which
Lucas, sister's fiance,
okay,
agrees with me.
I'm not
I
going to
will just
lie,
say.
though. If I knew someone was against you for however many games
We played 6 games that night.
Right.
That was
So,
the 6th game.
If it was the whole time of I don't trust you,
Right.
and now he starts to trust you
At the
right.
beginning of the game.
That's something I would have called.
No,
yeah.
I get it. No, I get it. But you said it last episode.
Yeah.
Was that's why you shouldn't have those kind of quote unquote rules
Yeah.
on yourself.
Yeah.
Because then if you get into that position,
Exactly.
what are you gonna do?
Exactly.
You impose this rule on yourself, which like that could screw me over too.
Oh, for
like,
sure.
That's why I think you shouldn't do that to yourself.
Yeah.
You're boxing yourself in.
Yep.
Which
That's fair.
Which again, I 100%
Yeah.
I concede that. That makes complete sense. And I get it.
But he already boxed himself in.
Right.
So-
we both kind of
Yeah.
already did.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
As soon as I saw it was us, I already knew this is gonna be a rough game.
right. And honestly, it was kind of bad too, being we were sitting right next to each other.
Ooh.
So that's that's to your disadvantage a little bit too.
Yeah.
Because then, so the only way to get out of something like that, because again, now what we're doing is we're having to deceive everybody else at the table, right?
Yeah.
So if he were to pick me, right, he would have had to play it off as how can I kind of play this off as I'm not picking him, but I'm letting chance kind of dictate that I pick him type thing. So he was in a predicament based off of I never pick him, and so was I.
Yeah.
Which is why when I was president, I did not pick him. Mostly, I'm trying to.
So it's okay if you do.
No, but hang on. Let me. I guess defend myself here. The reason I kind of didn't was I kind of instinctively, I guess, understood why you didn't pick me. So I'm like, okay, well, let me just kind of go along with that because I think I see where he's going. So then I pick somebody else.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's on me. I mean, 100% that's on me. But basically what I was getting at was when we play like that, we are at the mercy of RNG.
Yep.
We 100%. And then what happened? We got burned. We got burned. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We just did.
Because I will say, I had the entire table convinced I was a good guy.
Yeah.
Except me.
Yes. Except for my other bad guy.
So let me ask you this. Okay. So let's say in that game, let's say you kill me, right? Let's say you decided to kill me. And then let's say somehow you ended up winning.
Because I was Hitler.
Yes, in that game he was Hitler. So let's say somehow you ended up winning that game, right? Would I have won?
Yes.
Would I have technically won?
Yes.
If you lose, you don't win.
No.
You were on the winning team.
I
It
was
doesn't matter if you die or not.
Right. Would I have thought I won? Absolutely not.
Yeah, no. Like, I died.
Dude, I just got killed. I ain't winning that game.
Yeah.
And honestly, so in my defense, I guess, I mean, whatever you want to call it, I was just salty, man. I was salty because my partner did not trust me.
Yeah.
Period.
I did
End of
trust
story.
you. I trusted you to, on your turn, be able to do something and be able to play this off.
Wow.
I trusted you to be independent.
Honestly, what happened? So what we have here, right, is they spent the entire night hating each other in all of these games.
No, to be quite honest with you, that was a pretty freaking fun night.
It was.
That was fun.
I say that, and yet I was liberal every time.
There was no trust.
There was one time.
Let me explain this real quick.
All right, go ahead.
So this is, I think, game 4 of 6 that we played that night.
You mean after game 4 this happened?
This was between games 3 and 4.
Okay, gotcha.
So 3 games have gone by. I've been liberal every single time. My sister has been fascist every single time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she's complaining, like, I enjoy being fascist, but, like, guys, I'm tired of being fascist. I just want to be a liberal. And we're like, well, you can't say anything or else it's obvious that you got what you got.
Which it kind of is.
Yeah. So
Then
we
at that
deal
point,
out the
just be like,
cards.
oh, yeah, guys, I'm fascist. I lost. Next game.
We deal out the cards, and I get liberal again. And she gets fascist again. And she goes, guys, please, can we just reshuffle one time?
So we shuffle.
And we're like, okay. This is the only time we're going to reshuffle. We're never going to reshuffle again.
Right.
So then we reshuffle, deal them all out. I get fascist.
Oh, man.
And so I'm like, okay.
But then this guy.
Okay. I was like, okay, we just said we're never going to reshuffle again. So as soon as the game starts, I just kind of like chuck my cards down, just be like, whatever, this game's already stupid. And just like get angry, making it obvious that I'm mad that I got liberal.
Yeah.
So that no one suspects me. And then everyone goes, oh, come on, Michael, and starts grabbing all the cards and reshuffling them. And I'm like, no, we just said we're never going to reshuffle.
No, but the reason we did that was you don't give out information. Any information like that, you should not give out to anybody.
Yeah.
So unless
But this is a game of deceit. You should never trust what people say.
During the game.
That was during the game.
Started, Dan. The game started as soon as everyone had their roll.
Exactly.
The game started as soon as everyone sat down at the table.
Yeah. So that was.
I was so mad, and then
he
we reshuffled,
and then
I got liberal.
Oh man!
Because you were only fascist that one time.
When we were
right?
fascist at the end, that was the only game I got fascist.
Hilarious.
Yeah,
other than
so
the game
funny.
that never happened.
That was pretty crazy.
Oh, wow.
So mad.
Oh my goodness! All right. Let's get into some of our questions.
Yeah.
Here,
all right. That was,
So-
all right. So
so-
I understand his as well. Like you were saying, you understood his,
No, I got
his point
it.
on it.
And that's why I wanted to talk about that was
Yeah.
because I thought about it one way,
Yeah.
right? And I think Michael understands where I was thinking
100%, yeah.
and where I was coming from.
Yeah.
I honestly, in that moment when we were arguing about it,
Yeah.
I didn't think about the way he was playing about it. I didn't think about the way his line of thinking.
Yeah, because the whole rest of the game too, I spent the whole time like being like, "No, Dan, you're lying. Like, stop lying.
Right.
You're evil." Like, I spent the whole
Right.
time distancing myself from him.
Right. Yeah. So it's interesting because then you get to talk about it and then or argue about it, whatever you want to do. Yell at the other person.
Right.
Punch each other.
Right. But then after I punch you, then I'm like, oh, now I get it. Now I understand.
My
That makes
bad. I'm
sense.
sorry about that.
Perfect
I get
sense.
it.
Anyway, so so one of the reasons we wanted to have Michael here is honestly, like, Michael is just another one of us.
Yeah.
One of us. One of us. So, Michael, I think we've had a few conversations kind of about this, but
We have.
When did you get into tabletop gaming?
Okay, so I want a little bit of explanation on what you describe as tabletop gaming, because in my head, I think it might be slightly different than yours.
Yeah, so when we say tabletop gaming, what we mean is board games, card games,
Minis,
miniatures,
role-playing
games.
dice
Yeah,
games.
so for
Dice
me,
games, pretty much
when
anything-
I hear tabletop, I immediately think role-playing, D&D, stuff
Yep,
like
that's
that.
included for sure.
Yeah.
That is included.
That's the only thing I
Oh
think
no.
of. Yeah.
Tabletop gaming, and honestly, it doesn't even come from us either.
Yeah.
It is super duper general. It's very very wide, very wide and specific.
Anything you can play on a tabletop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really, anything you can get a group of people together.
If I bust
Those
out
party
my-
games, anything like that.
All
We consider that to be tabletop gaming. For sure.
So tabletop gaming then has been a big part of my life since I was like, I don't know, 3.
Did you play Candyland?
No, I did not play Candyland.
Did you play-
Have you ever? Did you describe that?
No, we're gonna
Oh,
do.
man.
Oh man, no.
For a
no,
future episode.
I got a story about Candyland, and I wasn't even there.
ready.
I wasn't even there.
None of us were.
Oh no, but dude, oh
You
man,
have a story about someone.
somebody's got a story, and they're gonna tell it to you
In a future
in
episode.
a future episode.
Okay. All right.
Anyways,
Alrighty,
moving on from
next Bobby.
Candyland. it kind of is the next Bobby.
We'll say it's Bobby.
Oh, yeah.
Not this Bobby Jr.
Anyways,
Anyway, go ahead.
no, when I was a kid, my parents got me, and boy, does this explain why I moved on to the things I did in my life. A board game that it was an alligator themed board game all about math.
I'm down.
Literally just about
Okay.
rolling dice and adding numbers and subtracting numbers and moving pieces on a board. And I would just sit there by myself, just rolling the dice, moving the pieces along.
Now,
And-
now, Michael, why does that explain a little bit about you and your life?
Um,
Because we haven't even. We
oh,
really
yeah,
haven't
true.
Even, we really haven't even gotten into.
you guys know me, but
yes,
no one else
yes,
does.
nobody else knows you. So tell us a little bit about you before we even get into these questions.
So
here.
I am a recent college grad as of 9 months ago, I think.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah. I studied mechanical engineering with a minor in mathematics, so I am
Nerd.
a nerd in every possible way you
You
can think
look like
of.
you play D&D.
Oh, I do. Oh, I
Which
do.
I already knew. I was meaning.
But no. So even when I was 3, I was obsessed with a game that revolved around math. So that just pretty much dictated the rest of my life of loving math and science and things like that.
Cool.
Makes sense.
But yeah, so even after that, like I loved playing Monopoly when I was like 6. Like
Yeah.
that was
Who
my
wouldn't?
favorite game.
Who
I had
wouldn't?
Monopoly
know.
Junior, which was at an amusement park.
Yeah.
And so you could get roller coasters and water
That
slides.
was also a whole lot faster, too.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like half the board or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot faster. But no, I loved Monopoly. I loved Sorry. I loved all of those different like classic board games.
Yeah.
And then as I got into high school, I had started playing some others, not too many. It was mainly more party games at that point.
Mm-hmm.
It was really college where I fully dived into tabletop, as you would say. Oh, I also collected Pokemon cards for a while, but I never really played with them.
Oh man, TCGs.
I knew how to play with them, but I never did because I had no one else to play with.
There we go. That's what I'm talking about.
We got a text from Bobby. Bobby could hear us.
I was just saying, I thought so.
Anyways, we'll move on from that. But no, I collected Pokemon cards, never played them. I knew how to play. I started playing a little bit ago online, but still don't really get into that too much.
You started playing what online ago?
Pokemon TCG.
Oh, dude, man, Pokemon TCG online is freaking awesome.
So
It's
good.
so much fun.
Oh,
anyway,
If you're a fan of Pokemon or have been interested, go check it out.
it's free.
it out.
Completely
It's
free.
free.
It is.
It is.
But yeah, so I did that a little when I was a kid, but mainly in college, I wound up in this group of friends who are all equally nerdy as I am, which was great. And they started...
Those must have been some nerdy friends, man.
Maybe they weren't as nerdy as I am. Yeah. But no, they started introducing me to board games. I started watching people play board games on YouTube, and all of my friends did too. So we're constantly just every few weeks, hey guys, got a new board game. Let's meet up. Let's play it.
Right.
And I don't know why we say let's meet up. We literally hung out every day. But no, we would constantly be getting new board games, new things to play, new different kinds of card games. And then around junior year of college, one of my friends comes up to me and he goes, hey, we're putting together a game of D&D. Do you want to play?
Oh man, this is my jam.
And I had never thought of playing D&D. I don't even know if you can call it D&D, which we can talk about the adventures that this was. It was D&D, but without any of the rules.
Okay.
Okay.
It was
So you were playing pretend.
basically.
Okay. He
Wait,
was
Playing
wait.
pretend while
Time out.
rolling a D20.
Hold the phone. Wait, isn't D&D already pretend?
Yeah, it is. Except
So
he's now
pretend-
making up more rules than
Well,
what's
it
already
was
given.
literally you could do whatever you want and you just
Yeah.
roll the D20.
Just roll a d20. The DM will say yes or no.
So we put together that game.
Yeah.
We played it like 3 times maybe. I was a wizard because wizards are the coolest things in the world.
Yeah, sure.
And my one goal, we went through like this weird inventory list and he gave us a set amount of gold that we could spend. And one of the things on the inventory that I thought was hilarious was just you could buy chickens.
Buy chicken.
that is pretty fun.
Like a whole chicken?
Yeah, live chickens.
Okay.
And
I'm down.
bought 3.
3. All
And
right.
my goal was to enchant one of them to be my familiar.
Okay.
Okay. That
I had 3
pretty
chances
good, yeah.
too. I bought 3 of them.
All right.
So, you know how a D20 has a 1 in 20 chance of rolling a nat 1?
Yeah.
Which means that in order to say, I don't know, roll 3 nat 1s in a row.
Yeah.
It would be, let's see, 20 times 20, 400 times 20,
8,000?
8,000. A 1 in 8,000 chance?
Huh.
Yeah.
No way. There's no way anyone would be able to do that.
Unless it's loaded.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't loaded. All my other friends were rolling them, and they were doing great. No. All 3 of my chickens ran themselves into a fire and killed themselves.
You mean free food?
Yeah, three nat 1s in a row.
And they actually
dude,
burn
that's
themselves.
funny.
Not
Yeah.
edible.
Yeah, so that was our game. It went nowhere.
Wow.
It had something to do with magical poop at one point. It was weird.
Magical. Okay.
All right.
There's a reason
Yeah,
we
this is
stopped
fine.
playing.
This is fine.
There's a reason we stopped playing that game.
Okay.
But anyways, junior year, we start playing actual D&D, rules and all, and me and my friends just got hooked. Like, I'm talking,
Isn't that an understatement?
we can discuss that more.
We'll talk about it.
I
later.
got more hooked than anyone else. We'll just say that.
Oh, I want to keep talking about D&D now.
Yes. Dan, you don't have any room to talk. You've never played D&D.
Soon.
well,
Soon.
no, time out. I don't have any room to talk when it comes to D&D, but talk about getting hooked. Have you seen some of my collections?
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Okay.
That's 100% fair.
Yeah.
You have way too many magic cards.
Anyway, continue.
Um,
I mean,
many?
too many?
Too many?
What are you talking about?
It's only like, what, couple 10,000?
Just zip it.
I wasn't going to say dollar amount.
Many.
I wasn't going to say dollar amount. I was going to say just cards.
All right, that's fair.
But no, so me and my friends, we start off playing in a made-up world that one of my friends was made up for us. That, again, went only like 3-ish sessions, 3 or 4. It was fun, but it was just one of those things where he was like, this is a little too much work for me right now with college.
Yeah, it is a lot.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
I can imagine. This,
So we ended up buying one of the adventures that D&D sells. It's called Curse of Strahd. It's like the number one rated adventure.
It just also got a revamp as well.
It did, and we have never finished it.
And the best part about the revamp is the main thing is about a vampire, so the fact that they called it a revamp is great.
Well, I was just going to ask, like, revamp, I'm assuming just means like a revised.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
They just called it revamp.
Exactly, because it was about a vampire.
Sure. That's fair.
But no, we
see
started
myself out.
playing that, and we all like loved it so much. We got so devoted into our characters and learning about this world and figuring out the mysteries. And we played it probably every week or every other week for over a year. So much fun. We've been meaning to get done with it because we never finished it. The last time we played was actually a year ago now.
Wow, you had to spend some time. Holy cow.
Just a little bit.
It's become one of those things where now that we're not together, the only way we can do it is virtually, which is a little more difficult.
Yeah.
And so we actually were just recently talking. We're like, hey, why don't we just restart?
Yeah.
Just restart the whole thing. We have some other friends that weren't there when we first started who want to play. We can just restart the whole thing. So we're hopefully going to do that soon. But yeah, no, as Dan alluded to, got a little too hooked on D&D.
And the reason I know this is because he told me.
Pretty
much.
I love it. But what he's referencing is the fact that I have probably built over 30 different characters. I've only played 4 or 5. 4 or 5.
I don't even think I've built that many yet either. I don't think I've made 30.
I've played a couple one-shots, so maybe I'm at like 6.
Okay.
But yeah, I have built a lot. I just enjoy it. It's fun. Yeah. I like coming up with different combos that I'll never get to use.
The amount of things you can do in that game is ridiculous. So there's what, so like much. 9 different classes or something?
No, I think there's now 13.
Oh, that's right. Because it was 12 plus the Artificer and Eberron.
Yep.
And then each one of those, and the base book has pretty much three subclasses.
3 or more.
Yeah. Pretty much 3 subclasses that you can then choose once you hit level 3. Okay, so your 1 can turn into 3 different things. Well, kind of. So you have one of 3 to pick from, and then
unless you go wizard or cleric, and then you have like 10
then you
options.
have so many things because wizard is like one of 8 different schools of magic, and then you have the different classes that you can then play from that as well. The amount of customization in here is ridiculous.
Oh, and they only introduce more and more subclasses to each thing. They added a whole new class.
Yep. Then there's different feats. So with these 2 latest books, they are Tasha's and Xanathar's. They each have given everyone pretty much between 2 and 4 additional subclasses. So now everyone has like 7 different ways to play their
All 13
one character.
classes have like a minimum 7 options.
And then you can multi-class. So now it's like, all right, well, now I only want to have 3 in Wizard. And now I'm going to put the other 17 in like Sorcerer or something like that. Yeah. And now you have a bunch of different possibilities that you can do.
So much fun. And I just love... One of my favorite things is I just like looking at a subclass being like, that's a cool idea.
Yeah.
And how can I add something else to this that makes it even cooler?
Yep.
So almost everything I build is a multi-class because that's the most fun.
Yeah, it makes it the most broken too.
I don't break it. I have friends that do break it. I try to not.
Let's talk about the Barbarian Druid combo you can do. I think it's like level 12 or 13. You can essentially make yourself super tanky.
Are you talking about the Circle of Spores and
No.
Warrior?
I'm talking about, I believe it's Moon, to where you can increase your CR for transformation. You turn into a giant turtle to give you like 125 temporary HP,
and
essentially.
rage.
And then, you rage going into this, which you take half damage at that point. So you take the 125, we'll say. I think it's like 120 something. So you're then going to 250 in terms of how much you can tank inside that turtle form. And then you can go inside the turtle form again after that breaks. So now you're looking at another 500 HP total on top of whatever it is that you normally have. And at that point, I think you'd have like roughly about 100 HP you could have. So you're looking at 600 HP tank.
See, the one I was thinking you were talking about is there's another Druid Barbarian combination.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
It's the Circle of Spores, which I've actually built this one because I thought it'd be fun. Circle of Spores Druid, which gives you temporary HP equal to 5 times your Druid level.
Okay.
And then the Totem Warrior Barbarian, which if you pick the bear, gives you resistance to all damage.
Yep.
So you have
half damage, yeah.
So you have temporary HP and resistance to everything.
Yes.
I mean, that sounds good.
Yeah.
But you can literally get like 200 temporary HP.
Yeah.
You know, what I heard from that was
math.
Turtle.
Bear.
No,
the
dude,
turtle's essentially the increased temporary HP,
Yeah,
and then you raged with the bear totem, like you were saying with the spore, to essentially then double everything.
Gotcha.
Oh, real broken.
So I think I know what the answer to this question is going to be.
Okay.
So Michael, what are some of your favorite types of games to play?
So I absolutely hate D&D. No, I love D&D. I love those kind of tabletop role-playing games. They're a lot of fun. There's another one me and my friends been playing forever. We're trying to schedule the last session now, and that's been a nightmare. But
what is it, Pathfinder?
No, not Pathfinder. It's called Monster of the Week.
I've heard of that.
We've talked about it before.
Okay, yeah,
that makes sense.
That's why I've heard of it. Okay, all right, sweet.
It's similar to D&D. Everything's based off of 2d6.
Okay.
And you have certain stats and stuff like in D&D that give you bonuses. And so the whole point of it is it's kind of more of a mystery like setup of what you do, and everything's like sort of like split up into different mysteries with like an overarching theme, and you kind of just like go through, and it's like designed to where like you're probably gonna die. Like,
okay,
it is not meant for you to live. I haven't killed any of my characters yet, but I've come really close. I'm in charge of it. I don't play. And so like we've been going through, I made like a Greek mythology themed adventure that they've been going through. We've been trying to get to the last session for forever, but it's so much fun, and it's really helped with my improv skills because it literally says in the book, person in charge, which is called the keeper, not unlike like Dungeon Master, this one's called the keeper. You're not allowed to plan.
What?
You can come up with your basic outline, and that's it. Everything else you have to improv on the spot.
I like that rule.
See, so to interject here, so even though I've yet to play D&D or any other real role-playing game, what I like, just from hearing other people play about it and talk about it, is these types of games, I feel like really help people like us or other nerds quote unquote come out of their shell and like can interact and talk, and like you were saying, improv. I think I feel like these games like really help people like that just come out of their shell, and that is never a bad thing. Anytime you can get introverted people to get out of their shell and talk to other people is always a good thing. Period.
Because for D&D, they have a thing called Adventure League, right? So you can go to one of your local game stores on a specific day. For our store, it was on a Wednesday. And
so kind of like F&M for Magic.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Sweet. Yeah.
So you can go there. You don't even need to. You don't really need to know what you're doing. You can just go in there. They can help you make a character. Tell you about what the setting is.
Okay.
And this character you can take between stores, because as long as it's Adventure League, it's pretty much legal for whatever the story is, as long as the level range works for you.
Okay.
Because you could be like, oh, I have a level 1. I'm going to go play in this level 12. that's not the best idea.
Right.
You know, because it goes all the way up to 20.
Right.
But if you're going in there alone or with a friend, you know, you guys heard about it, whether it was Critical Role or through whatever things, and you know, there are people there that are going to help you.
Right.
And it's since it's a lot of role playing, you pretty much have to talk.
Right.
And you're going to be talking with people who
or
like
you
the
just
same
build
thing.
a mute character.
Or you build a mute character. Yeah, you could do that. And then play a wizard too, right? So you can cast spells.
You cannot cast spells. Almost all of them require
Yeah,
verbal components.
Pretty much, yeah. So, I mean, it's going to help so many people get out of the shell.
For sure.
Oh, I absolutely love it. Me and my friends have enjoyed it just because we get to, like, even sometimes we just get to play characters that act nothing like we would actually act in real life. Like, in our, like, Curse of Strahd campaign I was talking about earlier, me and one of my best friends, like, literally we talk all day. We hang out all the time. Like, he is one of my greatest friends. We play characters that pretty much despise each other. He is a paladin.
That's pretty fun, yeah.
He is a paladin that's all about holiness and light. And I am a wizard who's all about, like, arcane. And he views arcane stuff as, like, dirty magic.
Ah.
So we're constantly, like, at odds with, like, no, your way's wrong.
Yeah.
Obviously, the arcane's the right way. And he's like, no. You're garbage. Holiness is the only thing. And it's just a lot of fun because, like, we can act like we hate each other. But, like, obviously we know we don't.
Yeah.
And so we just get to play these personalities that are things that we aren't, or even sometimes things we aspire to be.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when we're arguing about Secret Hitler, you know, like we act
Bring
like
it back.
we despise,
Bring it back.
We act like we despise each other, but we actually don't.
Bring it all back.
Oh my goodness! Yeah. No, so when are we gonna play, guys? When are we gonna play?
When are we gonna play
D&D?
D&D?
D&D,
I mean, we gotta contact some other people, figure out who's going to be playing.
Right. I mean, I got 30 characters ready. I'm good to go.
So I would like to have 4 people. That'd be great.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, dude, I'm totally.
We'll
down.
figure it out.
Yeah, I'm down. I'm down.
I got 30 characters and 12 sets of dice.
I'll just let you know, the characters don't matter.
Oh,
what do you mean?
You'll find out.
Okay. So speaking of dice, for those of you listening, I'm sure there are plenty of you listening who hear the terms D6, D12, D20, and wonder what in the heck are these guys talking about?
Fair.
Well, it refers to dice, okay? So there are a lot of different dice, and when you say D20, for instance, that is a 20-sided die.
Yep.
So you hear D6, that is a 6-sided die.
Which is
D12,
the most common one people know about because of Yahtzee and other games.
Correct. See D12. Anytime you hear D and then 12, the first letter is the dice, and then the second number, how many sides are on the die.
In that other game he was talking about, it's a 2D6 system. You're using 2 D6s.
And that was actually when I thought of it, when he said that. Sure. I wanted to make sure those of you out there listening know what we're talking
Hopefully you guys
about.
are still listening to
There's a good chance most of you know.
Yeah. Okay, so outside of D&D, Michael.
Oh yeah, there was a question behind all of this.
You answered it. You answered it, which we get, and I get it. That's hearing people talk about D&D like this makes me just really want to play.
So much.
As soon as you play, you're gonna love it.
I know.
You're gonna love it.
Well, it was funny. So I know I've told you this before.
Yeah.
But there's a game called Arkham Horror, the card game, right? Which you haven't played yet.
I have not.
But you've played Lord of the Rings. So it's a living card game, and it's basically you're playing through a story, right? Well, I'm reading all of these cards because you're going through you're going through a narrative.
Yeah.
So I'm reading it out and I'm legit. Michael will testify to this. I'm legit getting into it. Like I'm getting into the story. And so at the end of it, he goes, "Have you ever played D&D?"
Yeah, I honestly, and that was the first time I'd ever told anyone in my family I played D&D.
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't want to talk about my story with telling my dad.
No,
Love
dude,
you, Dad.
no, you're let's hear it. You told me this the other. You told me this today.
I shouldn't.
Do you not want to say it?
Can
you not say it?
Maybe a different day.
Okay, different day. All right.
On a future episode.
I'll let Michael know aside from this podcast.
So future episode, this is going to come out because it's kind of funny.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, so outside of D&D, Michael, do you have a few other favorite games that you enjoyed playing?
I do.
All right, what are they?
So board games, love pretty much any kind of board game. They're a lot of fun. We just played tonight, right before recording this, actually. One of my favorite games is called Here to Slay.
Here to Slay.
That game is fun.
Yeah,
It's a lot of fun. Me and my friends loved it as soon as it came out. One of my favorite
That's
games...
another game by Turtle Studios,
Yep.
which in a previous episode, yes, they made Unstable Unicorns. Fantastic designer, in my opinion.
Which there is a new game that I now own that we will probably play soon.
I mean, I'm gonna buy it.
The Kickstarter one? Is that
The dinosaur one.
Happy Little Dinosaurs.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna buy it.
Yeah. I already own it, though.
I think actually the last time we played Here to Slay is when you told me about this one, the
Happy Little Dinosaurs.
And I looked it up, and I think the Kickstarter had like just closed, and I'm like,
that's a shame.
That is a shame. So I've been having to wait. I didn't realize it was actually out now, so I'm gonna have to go look at it.
All right.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway. So Here to Slay, love that game. Another game I really love, especially because like Arkham Horror, it doesn't have to, but it kind of brings in that sort of narrative element of like tabletop RPGs like D&D. It's called Betrayal at House on the Hill.
Woo! There it is.
Oh, there it is.
He now has 2 games on my list as well. D&D and Betrayal.
Love that game. I've been wanting to play it with like you guys, Dan, us and our family.
So good.
Because it's such a fun game. Me and my friends love it. The best part about it.
Do you own it?
I own it. Yeah,
okay,
it's at my house.
Sweet.
The best part about that game is you have no idea where the game's going to end up.
Yeah.
Right.
So
That's
good.
exactly what you said.
Yeah, there are, for those of you who don't know, throughout the game, you're collecting cards, searching through this mansion, and discovering different rooms that are randomized. So there's like 50 different rooms. You just draw the top one off the pile, place it down. That's the room you're in now.
Yep.
Well, eventually, something called the haunt happens.
Yep.
And you, based on the item that caused the haunt and where the player is, decides a random story of 100 different stories that you go through. And each of those stories picks a player that now becomes the bad guy.
Right.
Except for a couple where the house is the bad guy. But
Yeah.
so it's so much fun because we're going through and we're like, oh yeah, we're all helping each other. Like, oh, you need this item? Sure.
Right.
And then all of a sudden the haunt happens and it's like, I just gave the bad guy the worst, like the best thing in the game.
Battle axe. That's bloodthirsty.
And so like all of a sudden now the one person gets to just turn on their friends and just try to murder them or do something else. And so, and it's different every time. We've played probably 20 times in my friend group. We've never gotten the same story once.
Yeah, that was one of Jim's one of his favorites on his list. And yeah, you were telling me about it, and we talked. I think you talked about it in the last episode.
Yeah,
and that was. It sounds awesome. I've seen it on so many shelves.
Yeah,
so many shelves.
So you talked about Betrayal at House on the Hill, right? Do you know about Betrayal at Boulder's Gate?
I know about it. I've never played it.
So it's the D&D version, and your characters will actually have abilities because you're going in there as a wizard or as a warlock, as a barbarian, as a fighter. Okay. And there's like 5 or 6 different people you can be. Right. And so you get these added little things, and it's pretty much all D&D related for this stuff. Right. And you would love that one as well.
Which I also want to mention, just to show you how much I am obsessed with D&D, Here to Slay is basically T-Turtle's way of putting D&D into a card game.
Right, right. Well, okay, speaking of D&D in a card game, we played a game last week, a week ago, that you played, that you talked about in the last episode, Dungeon Mayhem.
Oh, yeah.
That is... Dungeon
Mayhem. Yes, yeah, we played it with other Bobby.
Yeah, with other Bobby.
With other Bobby?
Yeah.
Yes.
I do not remember.
So it was the last game. It was the last game we played, the card game.
Oh, I remember now. I remember. Yes.
Remember the one where you were also getting mad at me because
how dare you attack me when I healed?
You targeted me.
You thought I was trying to.
You were healing. He wanted to make it even for everyone.
I was healing because the first thing he did was target me.
Now, granted, didn't he quote unquote win the game before that? Even though we all lost, we played Legendary.
That
before
was a
that.
joke.
Yeah.
It was a joke.
It's a joke. Okay, Jim, was it a joke?
No, I would not say so. No.
We got
I did not see it.
We got destroyed in that game.
Oh my word! That
was
was
Legendary
pretty
was a
bad.
bunch of
I mean,
fun.
it's fun. Legendary is fun.
Also, that is not other Bobby that we are talking about.
Yeah, not
Well,
Bobby
kind-
Jr. This is like Bobby the Third. Is what we'll say.
Too many Bobbies.
We're just gonna keep using that name, Bobby.
Yeah.
That way nobody knows who we're talking about.
God dang you, Bobby.
Oh my.
Okay, all right. So Michael, do you got any other like games that you definitely like want to mention?
Yes, there's
Okay.
one more game that me and my friends are obsessed with. It's called Mountains of Madness.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Okay, you
yeah,
played
I love this
You
one.
played it? Okay.
It is
all right.
so funny.
I've been waiting to play it
is
because
so
I know
funny.
he has
Yeah,
it.
I've been waiting for our family to get together because I think it'd be
I
hilarious.
honestly forgot about this game until you just said it now.
Yeah,
I
so
love
do you
that
do you
game.
have it?
No, I don't.
long
Okay,
story
but it's
short,
so-
it's a cooperative game where you're trying to work together to climb up a mountain, but you have to gain a certain number of treasures in order to win. So you can't just go straight up the mountain.
Right.
But every time you start screwing things up, which is really easy in this game because you have 30 seconds to talk to each other.
30 seconds.
You have 30
Yeah,
seconds.
it is timed.
Oh.
So you have to. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
So
Bobby.
Michael. Every time you move to a new place, you have to accomplish a task of playing the right amount of cards, which will be
Okay.
like 7 to 9 tools. So you have to
Okay.
get 7, 8, or 9 tools played. And you have 30 seconds, and the second someone sets a card down, silence.
Oh. Okay.
So
Yeah.
it's really rough. And then every time you fail, you start having to give people what are called madness cards, which somehow affects their way of communicating.
Which this is why it's so funny.
And you are never allowed to discuss your madness cards with other people. And they only happen during those 30 seconds.
Okay.
And so like it is all over the place with what you can do. Like every time we start, I have to look under the table.
Nobody
Or
knows why
while you're
yet.
talking, you have to be walking around the table. There's
Fun story about that one. There's a question. There's one that's while you're talking, you have to start walking around the table, and you're not allowed
Yeah.
to stop until the round's over.
yeah.
I got that one. One of my other friends got one that's you're not allowed to start talking until you high five everyone. And so I'm walking around the table. They're trying to chase me, trying to high five me so they can start talking.
Why wouldn't they just
They're-
go the opposite direction?
And it was when you're in that 30 seconds
Logic,
of chaos.
guys, logic.
When you're in that 30 seconds of chaos, all logic is out the door.
You also don't have to be sprinting around the
I
table.
wasn't
It's like-
sprinting.
Okay,
It was just a funny coincidence of them trying to get me.
That's funny.
Yeah.
But no, it's all over the place where like you aren't allowed to say numbers, or you can only say numbers by doing arithmetic.
Yeah, you'd have to be like adding things. So if you were like, oh, I have 7 tools, you couldn't say 7.
You have
It
to
had-
say 5 plus 2.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But those are still saying numbers.
No. For
Well,
his,
those
he
are
was
2
saying-
different cards.
Yeah.
Oh.
So and for that
Oh,
one,
I got you.
For that one not being able to say numbers, you would have to hold up fingers. So it'd be like
Or
2 plus, like
One of
4.
our least favorite ones because it requires so much effort just of everyone else. You can only say numbers as their calendar year
Oh.
or their calendar month.
Oh wow.
I got
So
you.
like if you wanted to say 5, you had to say May.
Yeah, that one seems
how do
pretty
you
rough.
what about 13?
You never really
I was
need
gonna
to
say
go
I don't know
that
if it
high.
ever goes that high.
No. I don't think it goes past 12
There's
usually.
another one to where it was you would have whenever you were talking for the round, you would have to keep your tongue to the roof of your mouth.
Oh, there's so many terrible ones.
Yeah.
I don't even know how I can.
And so you have a group. So you have a group of
hard
like.
to do. Oh my word.
So you have a group of 3 to 5 people trying to talk to each other in 30 seconds
It's
to
so
get
tense.
this done, and you're all doing these weird random things, and it gets hectic.
Mind you, I've played this game once and I love this game.
Oh, we've
I
played
mean,
it too many times.
It's so good.
Yeah, he's talked about it a little bit. Michael has, and it every time I hear it, it
Yeah.
sounds super
Yeah,
cool. It sounds super
whenever
sweet.
whenever my sister comes back in town, we need to play it.
Oh, I'm down. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, that
man.
game is so good, man.
All right, so Michael, I mean you've already talked about quite a few, but I mean honestly, I kind of want to know. I want to know what are some of your fondest memories when it comes to tabletop gaming, and I don't just mean like in playing a game, but just in general, that kind of the memory can be revolved around or just pointed back to somehow this hobby that we all enjoy.
I think like I've kind of like talked about in like the past discussion is like one of my favorite things is it just brought me and my friends at school together.
Yeah.
Like super close. Like we would literally just like hang out every day and just be like, hey, let's play a board game. Let's just do it. Who has a board game? Someone go get a board game.
Yeah.
And so we would just constantly be playing like Exploding Kittens, Unstable Unicorns.
Yeah, that's a good one.
All these different games. And like I said, we'd constantly just be collecting new ones. Like, guys, I just heard about this new game. We got to play it tonight. Like, it's amazing.
Now,
and so
that's also how it always goes anyway.
Yeah.
But it was just like such a cool thing of these friends I didn't meet to the end of my freshman year. And then the next 3 years of college, we just hung out all the time, playing games, having fun, and just making memories like that. That was my favorite thing of college.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds sweet.
Yeah.
I do have to point out that Michael is wearing his college shirt.
I am indeed.
Did you do that on purpose?
No, I did not at all. I just needed this shirt to put on before I got here. I was wearing a crappy shirt because I was helping my dad work outside, so I just needed something to change into.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I just
Makes sense.
subconsciously.
Yeah, I get it.
Now, Michael, there's one thing that I know we've talked about. And Jim, you and I both have talked about this.
Yeah.
But I since we have Michael here, I do kind of want to get his, I guess, insight into this. So, Michael, what we've talked about is, you speak so very highly of your friend group, and honestly, like that's something that I feel like maybe not necessarily not a lot of people have, but honestly, I think it is kind of rare to have a friend group like the one that you've cultivated in your time at school. Which not a lot of people are that lucky, and it's awesome that you were able to find that. Like that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean the fact that you're my brother-in-law, I'm happy that you were able to find. Like that's awesome. Like that is really really cool. I definitely was not that lucky to have a group like that when I was in college.
Yeah.
So, Jim, one of the reasons, and we have spoken so very much, and we will never stop driving this home.
Yep.
One of the reasons we are building Hobbies and Happiness and why we're doing, is to provide a sense of community for people not necessarily just like us who are sitting here at this table, but everyone in our community. We want everyone in our community to have a group like Michael and his group that he was able to find and cultivate at college. So, and one thing that I know, Michael, we've even talked about is you don't necessarily it's taken you a long time for you to get to where you're at from socially.
Oh yeah.
Like you still, I know when I've told you this, like when I went to Grapple and when I met Jim, I had to seek out a place like Grapple. I had to honestly.
Me too.
No, right.
I found Grapple, and the rest is history.
Right, but Michael I feel like he's a perfect use case here of Michael. How would you feel about having to do something like that?
I would hate it, but also love it. But also hate it.
Well, right. Eventually, I'm super glad that I found it. But for me, going there wasn't that difficult because I'm very much. This is one area where I think me and Michael differ slightly. Is Michael is more introverted than I am. I have introverted tendencies, 100%.
I think we all do.
We all do, for sure. For people like us, we 100% do.
Yeah.
But I mean, knowing Michael the way I know him, he is super duper.
You know that Myers-Briggs personality test. They rank you on introverted versus extroverted and what percent you are of each. 97% introverted.
Wow. Are you serious?
I've never taken. I didn't even know this was a test.
That's crazy.
Yeah, no, I
need to take this
insanely
test.
introverted.
That's crazy. But it's people like that. It is people who are introverted who we want to reach out to and we want to find and get them out of their shell. Because in order to get them to come out of that shell, we have to get them, quote unquote, somehow. If you know, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So that's why we're doing what we're doing. Period. Like end of story.
Yeah.
Like we want to cultivate that group, the group just like Michael has.
Yeah.
We want people to find their group just like that.
Yeah.
And that's why we're doing this.
And quick side note, so you said that you more so started playing games and coming out of it pretty much around college time, roughly.
Yeah.
You know, we want to also aim for, you know, the younger generation
Right.
who don't really know, you know, kind of what they are really into, and if this is something that they really are into, and people
Right.
don't really play it around them, or kids,
Right.
other kids think it's nerdy.
for sure.
And,
That would have been great
know?
for me in like junior high and high school because I knew
yeah.
I enjoyed this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like I've
Right.
always loved video games and board
I didn't
games
even
and
know
all
these
that
kinds
stuff.
of stores like Grapple
Same.
existed
Right.
until I got out of high school.
Same. I didn't either. And
And I traveled downtown to go to mine. So
Well, Michael, when did you find out that like I started going to Grapple, like a place like it?
about a week ago when I listened to the first episode of the podcast.
Seriously?
really,
Yeah.
You never knew that
I mean,
went?
I knew you went to. I
Like,
didn't
you
know
never
about.
brought that up to him.
I
dude?
knew you went to a game store before, but I didn't know there was one in New Lenox.
Oh boy!
Wow.
Yeah, I had no clue, and I wish I would have.
No,
Honestly,
I thought. Okay, I could have sworn
you may have told me, and I completely
That's
forgot.
also a
100%,
possibility. I'm like-
100%. Because I tried getting him into Magic.
Yeah.
I tried getting him in to
Yeah.
come out because
Still trying.
I knew he would like not necessarily like Magic, but
Yeah.
I knew he would like a place
Yeah, the
like
people.
Oh, for sure.
Grapple,
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
That was why I wanted to get him to come out. But I knew he was. I
They
mean,
had board games on Tuesday, just so
Yeah.
you.
And D&D on Wednesday.
And it also doesn't matter anymore, that information,
Right.
but I still have it.
right.
Oh, yeah, no, I would have absolutely, if I would have known about that in like junior high and high school,
Yeah.
because I went to a high school, super, super tiny high school.
Yeah.
My sister taught there with elementary. There was 80 people from preschool to 12th grade.
Yeah, it's really small.
And every single person in my junior high and high school could care less about anything nerdy. Everything was sports.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
Which is normal.
Yeah.
Which is normal, 100%.
But there was not a single nerdy person in that school. So
Yeah.
I always felt like
Now the nerd culture is really up
Yes.
there.
Oh,
Which
100%.
It's so
Yep.
high.
I'm glad for all of you nerds who are still in high school because I wish I had that kind of environment.
Totally.
But yeah, so like junior high and high school, I didn't know I wanted to play D&D. I didn't know I would love all these different kind of board games because I had no way of knowing.
I was told
Right.
to never play D&D. Different story, guys. Different story.
He's just gonna keep dropping hints. You guys have to build the story yourself.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
It's like
come together.
it's like D&D. You build it yourself.
Little story hints.
Yeah, Dad. I mean, Bobby. Big Bobby. Big Bobby.
But yeah, no, I would have loved to have a game store in my area or coming to my school or doing anything to where I could get introduced to these different games and like different types of games, board games, card games.
Yeah.
Dan was actually the one who introduced me to the deck building kind of games, and those are so much fun.
Really?
Yeah.
DC deck building?
Yeah.
Heck yeah, man!
I mean, I played
a good one.
Legendary.
Yeah.
Oh, you okay,
Once,
okay.
so that was you weren't my first introduction, but you're the one who really started to show me all these different kinds. And
because
they're
DC
so much
deck
fun.
building game is awesome,
DC
man.
deck
So
building
good.
is the best, except Dan doesn't let me play Flash anymore because he wants me to try new things.
Oh yeah, 100%, dude.
No.
There's
Flash
so
is
many
the
cool
best.
different characters.
But Flash is
I mean,
the best.
going
Well,
first is really
Okay,
strong.
but especially with all now the different expansions and everything.
Oh,
there's
yeah.
a ton.
But
there's so
Flash
many.
There's so
is
many.
the best.
There's so
I mean, we can have
Superman
we
is
can,
really
we can
strong,
have
too,
an
though.
honest
Yeah,
disagreement here because Batman's the best. Period on the story.
Batman's
in
overrated.
that game or outside
No,
of the
just
game?
period.
Batman is not a superhero.
Oh.
Exactly.
rich guy.
and that's what makes him awesome.
Yeah, yeah. He's no Tony Stark though. I ain't gonna lie. But he is alive. Oh, should I not have said that? Oops. Spoilers.
Spoilers for a movie that came out 2 years ago.
I love you 3,000, guys. I love you 3,000.
Man, we got really off on a tangent
Oh,
there.
word. Speaking of tangents, not in the answers. Okay, so Okay, so after having talked about Grapple and just game source in general, Michael, I kind of want to ask you. So, what would you say to the younger generation, those in high school who are pretty much like us, or just anyone else listening to this podcast, about what advice, I guess, would you give them, knowing from where you came from, and then going to where you were at, like with your love of D&D and just board games in general and tabletop gaming?
First piece of advice, and anyone who's as introverted as I am is going to hate that I say this. Put yourself out there. It is the hardest possible thing you can do, and it may not always reap rewards.
Yeah.
And that sucks sometimes, but unless you keep trying, you're never going to find that group.
And you don't even have to do it alone. You can bring a friend, bring a family member.
Even if they're not interested, just someone who can give you
someone you feel comfortable around. Yeah.
It's so much better.
And that's why I wanted to get Michael. Yeah. Like, no, but honestly,
no,
like,
no. You've been saying it for a bit now.
If you see like a family member or a friend that you know would enjoy it, I mean, dude, dig. Just keep digging and get them out there. Like, I didn't have to get Michael out to Grapple.
Just be like, hey, we'll go to Taco Bell afterwards.
Yeah,
Let's roll.
Seriously.
Yeah, I mean, I did it on my own, but it took a lot of effort from me because all of my friends, pretty much, I had to like force myself to be social with them and to interact with them.
Yeah.
And because like before I went to school, we had an incoming freshman Facebook group. I had to get on there. I had to start talking to people. I had to just like hang out with them. We would video chat. And that's how I met some of my closest friends. And even at college, like, I have to talk to these people who are in my classes. I have to get to know them, or else I'm never going to have friends.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, one other thing that I kind of just want to say too is, for me, now having met Jim is now my business partner. He's become a very good friend of mine. You spent Easter with me and my family.
Yep.
You've come to church with us a few times. I mean, you are honestly becoming a very good friend of mine, and But in all seriousness, none of this would have happened if I didn't take the initial jump and leap of going and seeking out Grapple games. Period. End of story.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah,
like that's totally what can happen.
Began with a Grapple.
Yeah.
You just have to just try. It'll suck, and you'll be nervous, and you'll be scared. But honestly, most people don't care.
Yeah. And one other thing is, I know that we kind of made it seem like for younger people, because I brought up the younger people.
Yeah, right.
And Michael, yourself, you're still a younger person.
There's a very large age gap between us.
And but you don't have to be younger to put yourself out there. Just be like, whatever age you are, if you were into this sort of thing, you heard about D&D coming out when you were in high school or you were in college, whatever it was. Back in, I think it was like 84 or something. And, you're still interested, but you never got to play it. Go check it out.
I have one of my uncles who passed away actually a few years ago. I found out he was big into D&D.
Yeah.
His handle, I know his Twitter handle was Dead Orcs. Like everything he did on social media was Dead Orc, from what I remember. If my aunt or cousins are listening to this, they hit me up. Like seriously, hit me up, because we're gonna be getting into D&D. He absolutely loved D&D, and I know my aunt. I mean, my aunt still talks about it all the time, and I know my cousins do. But yeah, I really wish I was into it when he was still alive, and like I could have. That could have been something another thing that I shared with him.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just wanted to note that, just for any other family.
So quick side note, right? I know I've talked about my dad with D&D a little bit, very little. So I found out recently that some of his friends in high school played D&D, right? He had no clue about it. So, and then, after he found out that and learned a little bit more about it and whatnot, he tells me in the car ride, he told me that his friends played it. He's like, oh, I might be interested to check that out one day. I'm like, you did not just tell me that, right?
Oh, my word.
So he goes from don't play D&D.
Yeah, don't play it.
You know? And then he's just like, oh, I might have to check it out one day.
Dude,
so I told him in the car. Yeah, go ahead.
You're also talking to two people who grew up in extremely conservative households.
Yeah, I can see that.
Who is
Magics?
I had parents who would not let us watch or even read the Harry Potter books.
Yeah.
Now, granted, when I was growing up,
same.
that was back in the 90s.
Yeah.
So when Rowling just wrote the books.
Yeah.
When they
gap.
just came out, right?
Yeah.
So that was that was very, very bad.
Yeah.
Very, very bad. But now they absolutely love Harry Potter.
Yeah.
And that's because Harry Potter's freaking awesome. How do you not like Harry Potter?
Which, to touch on the age gap real quick, because I mentioned it a few times, Dan is 11 years older than me.
Yeah. So
I'm 28.
So that's why whenever he argues with me, I'm like, sit down, son.
Yeah, I'm about to turn 23.
Oh, so my bad. So going back to the thing,
yeah,
my
I
dad in the
interrupted you.
car,
Yes,
he's like, I'm, he'd be a little bit more interested in checking it out. I told him, I'm like, no, I will not run you through this after all the stuff, after all the
grief you
poop,
gave me.
after all the heartache I had to endure.
Oh my goodness, yes.
From
Yes.
you.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
But yeah, so number one piece of advice, put yourself out there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Number two piece of advice, don't be afraid to try something.
Yeah. There are other people like you as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you would have asked me up until middle of college if I would ever play D&D, I'd probably be like, no, that honestly sounds kind of weird.
Dude, that's why when he told me,
Yeah.
I'm like, you do what?
Yeah, like and then as I became more into board games and things like that, and I started watching I started watching Critical Role.
Yep.
That was the first D&D show I started watching. I now watch High Rollers, which if you don't watch High Rollers, they are amazing. I need to watch today's episode. But no, I started watching D&D and I was like, okay, that seems kind of cool. And like my friends were like, hey, like, why don't we start playing? And I was like, okay, maybe I'll be into this. And turns out it's the love of my life.
Yeah, it's so much fun. I could
it's
talk
amazing.
about it for an entire episode.
Sorry, everybody else, but D&D is the love of his life.
All you other lucky people out there, good luck. If you don't play D&D and you can't match his wizard spell book, don't even try.
All right. So Michael, last question here. Okay. I'm kind of putting you on the spot here, but
Bring it.
You just mentioned age gap, right?
Yeah.
Now, with everything you've learned and kind of just where you're at, do you have a question for Jim, one for Jim and one for me, just about tabletop gaming or just anything?
I didn't know I was going to be interviewed, Dan.
No, yeah, that's why.
I didn't know I was going to interview.
I know. Do you if you can't, then you can't think of one. That's fine. Yeah. But just about gaming in general, tabletop, Matt, whatever, just about tabletop gaming. You got anything that you would like to know? Like you would like. I just thought of it, to be honest with you. I honestly just thought of it. I honestly just thought of it.
No, you had this written down, didn't you?
No, we did not.
What are those? Do you see those? What are those?
Marks
E, F, G, and H. What are those?
Yeah, all question
That's a lot
marks.
of question marks.
Yeah. I wrote the last one.
I was trying to make you seem really good and smart and
Oh
prepared.
yeah, that was definitely scripted.
Yeah. Totally.
Geez, I don't know.
Think about it for a second. And as he's thinking about it, let's just go into where you can find all of me and Jim, at least online. I kind of want to get this out of the way. Okay, so on Twitter, I'm on Twitter at _DG Campbell. _DG Campbell on Twitter, and you can also find me on Instagram at daniel.g.campbell. Yeah, I'm weird like that. I got different handles, but whatever, that's okay.
Oh, man.
Jim, what you got? What do you got? Where can they find you online? Where can people find you?
Twitter and Instagram. Check me out at Jim Morgan, HNH, and that's for both of them, Instagram and Twitter.
Yeah, those are like the big socials that we normally utilize. We're I feel I'm saying this week after week, but we are soon we're getting the Hobbies and Happiness social media accounts stuff, whatever you want to call that, up and running.
We're getting our logo set up.
Yeah, we're currently working with a designer that should be up. I'm hoping this week. I'm hoping we'll get it this week.
It should be this week.
Okay, sweet. So. Yeah, that would be sweet. Also emails. We're still waiting for some emails. People got questions. We got answers. Maybe you don't have questions. Maybe you just want to email us and say we're awesome or
you just want to say that we
if you think we suck.
Honestly, if you think we suck, I want to know.
Yeah, you think just let us know and we'll read it.
You don't even have to give us a reason. Just but I guess I'd like to know a reason.
Please just email them. You suck. That's it.
Now Michael's gonna go home and just email.
I'm gonna send you like 300 emails.
My dad's gonna text me later on. He's like, "What's your email?"
The email address
what is your email?
hobbiesandhappiness@gmail.com. Hobbiesandhappiness@gmail.com. Also, don't forget we are on every social media, every podcast platform out there: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all of them. Leave us a review. Leave us a 5-star review. And once we get those reviews, we will start reading those on the air and letting us know.
I'd still love to do a story time of just like depending on how many stories we get.
If we
from
can
people,
get a lot, I just want to read those and then just talk about them because being again, we're so heavily we want to be heavily invested in our local community here. And also the online community. We want to be cultivating that for pretty much everyone involved. Yeah. So, Michael, do you have any social accounts that you want people to hit you up on?
Pretty much the only one would be my Instagram, which is Mikey738, which is Mikey. For some reason, people think it's spelled Mickey.
Mickey.
Oh.
Every time I say Mikey, they're like, "Oh, Mickey." I'm like, "No, that's Mickey."
Mouse. That's not the song anymore.
Which I mean,
it's not the song anymore.
I don't know. That's
no,
like
it still is.
That's what I thought.
Dude,
he knows everything about it, man.
I thought that was the biggest Disney nerd in existence. They still use it. They still use it.
Okay.
Yeah, dude.
All the time.
Okay.
Do you know who you're talking to?
I don't. Bobby. I thought.
Bobby. No, to add on to being both a nerd in board games and D&D and stuff like that, and also being a nerd and being an engineer with a minor in mathematics, I'm also obsessed with Disney.
And that's the show, folks. Is that what they say? That's Looney Tunes?
That's Looney Tunes, man. Michael, do you even know what Looney Tunes is?
Of course I know what Looney Tunes is. I watched them all the time when I was a kid.
Okay. This will all be linked in the show notes. So just an FYI. All right. All that out of the way. Did you think of anything?
I thought of two. One very simple,
awesome,
and one kind of more deep because you're putting me on the spot with this.
All right.
First of all,
which one's for me?
They're both for both of you.
Oh, okay.
All right,
cool.
Let's go.
Easy. I mean, this one's kind of phrased a little bit differently based on past experience. Jim, what is your favorite D&D class? And Dan, what D&D class do you want to play?
Well, you gotta tell what the freaking.
I was about to say, do you know them?
So,
can I name them off the top of my head? Let's see.
Michael's putting himself on the spot.
I'll try and help you.
Artificer, Bard, Barbarian, Cleric, Druid.
And he's going in alphabetical order,
it's the
too.
only way I know them.
Dang.
Cleric, Druid, Fighter, Monk. Is there something between Fighter and Monk? I don't think so.
I don't believe so.
Okay, so Fighter, Monk, Ranger, Rogue, Sorcerer, Warlock, Wizard, Paladins in there, and I think that's it.
Yeah, I think that's all of them.
I may have hit them. I may have missed one or two.
Dang, I don't even think he did that first try too.
Well,
I don't think I could have done it.
I think I know what I would go with, but good. What's your favorite?
Mine is the most. It's Warlock. Oh, I love Warlock so much.
Warlock.
You want to know why I love Warlock so much?
Yes,
so
I do.
Sure, they don't get a whole lot of spell slots in comparison to Wizard or Sorcerer, but when you deal a D10
oh my
on
word,
an Eldritch
it's so
Blast
broken
cantrip that you can just keep firing off.
It's so broken. Me and my friend were literally having this discussion today.
Okay, so for how it works is normally when you're a spellcaster, you lose energy, as you're casting your spells, right?
To make it fair.
Exactly, to make it fair. And Warlock gets the most I guess you could say, most broken combat cantrip, which are just free spells that you get to cast. Okay.
All the time, anytime.
All the time, anytime. You can cast them for 24 hours straight. It doesn't matter. You won't get tired from casting this. It is a D10 force damage, which there are very few things in the game that resist force. So, and I think like maybe one is immune.
Yeah, it's insanely limited.
It's very low, but they have the strongest cantrip in terms of damage dealing, and it builds up over time. Once you hit level 5, then you get 2 D10s.
And you can get the invocation that for every D10, you also add your charisma modifier, which could be 5.
Yeah, so
by level 20, you can be dealing 4d10 plus 20 damage in a single turn.
It's ridiculous. And then you throw Hex on top of it.
It's so
Hex is a bonus action that they could then use to target something, but this one costs a spell slot. Yeah. Right? So
but it lasts for a minute or 10 minutes.
Oh, it can last up to 8 hours.
If you cast it really high, yeah.
No, because you only cast it max.
Yeah.
It's Warlock. I love Warlock. So you can cast it on there. And the Eldritch Blast that we talked about, 2d10, it shoots out different beams. So since it's not just one beam, 2d10, or one beam, 3d10 as you level up, it's 3 different 1d10 beams. So with Hex, it states for every time you hit the monster, it's an add another d6.
So now you are doing 4d10 plus 4d6 plus 20.
Plus your charisma modifier. It is insane damage output, consistent.
And that is the exact reason I hate Warlock. Not because it's broken, but because in order to play it well, you have to do that.
Yeah.
And so I just...
Not necessarily. I've played a lot of Warlocks in my... I'll show you.
It's just one of those things where it's like, why would you do anything else, though?
Well, so the thing is, you're pretty much always going to have those because of how strong they are, but there are different routes to play a Warlock. It's not like, oh, I'm always doing this. Well, I can be a healer. I can be a guy who wants to go utility.
But why would you when you can Eldritch Blast?
Because you could have a Barbarian and a Rogue go into melee range and do way more damage than what you're going to do.
I don't know about that.
With the Rogue, okay. We'll talk about this later.
Rogue, yes, for sure. Barbarian, no.
Barbarian pumps out so much damage with advantage.
If they crit. Only if they crit. Otherwise, they're doing pretty mediocre.
Not with Raging. Not with the...
Raging, you only add 4.
Okay, but then you also have the other abilities, the Relentless Rage or whatever it is. We'll talk about this later.
Dan.
For those of you who have never played D&D and have absolutely
no
idea
too much about the rules,
what they're talking about, it's okay. It's okay. I mean, I'm right there with you.
Until we play, and then he will be with us.
But this is hilarious and fun just listening to the
Do you know about the Zealot Barbarian? They don't die.
Zealot is insane. Zealot Barbarian is insane.
Barbarian busting out. Mind you, we were like level 15. He was consistently every single round busting out 200 damage. Jeez. This Barbarian. Don't tell me they don't do damage.
Okay. One Barbarian does damage.
Barbarian. He was going a basic Barbarian. We're going to talk about it later.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later.
I just can't right now.
All right. So over to me.
Dan, tell us what you want to play.
And it better not be Warlock or Barbarian.
All right, so let me just preface this by saying my favorite fantasy universe is Lord of the Rings. Hands down, I love Lord of the Rings. My favorite character in Lord of the Rings is Legolas.
Okay. All
right, so what would Legolas be considered? Would he be a rogue, or would that be more like
he would either be
a
ranger or a fighter?
I could see fighter, because he does work with so many different weapons.
Mm-hmm.
So he's definitely not a ranger.
Which I also love, just to point this out.
Yeah.
The two people deciding what class he would be have never seen Lord of the Rings.
That is actually...
I thought we just talked about you have it.
No. I was saying you don't have to see it to play that game.
Oh, you played the game.
The game.
I was telling Dan not too long ago. Me and
the card game, the Lord of the Rings. The card game.
I was just talking about how we haven't seen.
I was watching it and then I fell asleep halfway through every single movie.
Have you read the books? I mean, Jim read books.
Book? What is book? I've read 3 books in my life, Dan.
So anyway, whatever Legolas would be considered, probably something kind of like that. I love elves and their bows. That's kind of what I normally tend to go towards when I'm playing something fantasy.
They also bust out them swords too.
Yes. Oh my.
Technically,
yes.
based on the way D&D rules are written, you could play any class and be an elf.
No. Right. Well,
elves themselves get proficiency with bows, so you can do anything and use a bow.
All right. Well, then I don't know. I got to sit down and think about this. I don't know how to play.
Yeah. We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it for sure. Okay. So, what was your second question?
Was that the easy one? Or
That was
difficult?
the easy one.
Oh my god!
I'm gonna be here all night.
I just can't.
All right. Second question. Out of all the different kinds of tabletop games, card games, board games, RPG games,
Card games.
Okay, well, that's part
sure
of the
that
question.
wasn't the easy one?
I had a feeling that would be the answer. What I was
Have
going
you ever
to lead
listened to
into.
the podcast?
I have the first 2 episodes. What I was going towards was, what is your favorite, and what about it makes it your favorite?
Ooh, I love the theory crafting behind deck creation.
Yep.
So because when you have thousands of different cards and a play set is between 3 and 4 depending on the game, and you could be like, well, I'm going to play sets of these cards all the way up to 60 or whatever it is, but you start to learn about other decks, and it's just like, well, these cards aren't great against that deck, but it's still good to have for the off chance you get it sometimes, and then you start taking out 1 or 2. And then you start putting in other cards that are good for stuff. But aside from the theory crafting, which can go on for days, the people you meet in these card games, just like any other game, people you meet that have the same interest as you start to really love the game and the people that you're playing it with.
Going off of that, I mean, I'm with you 100%, but it's basically like everything we've talked about pretty much all night. For us, for you and me, Jim, it's been a lot of card games. For Michael, it's been a lot of other things.
Yeah.
But honestly, what it has all come back to is the connections and the groups and the friends and the relationships that we have formed and made through all of them has been the creme de la creme, the what we absolutely love from everything. So for me, the answer easy card games.
Yeah.
Michael, one of my favorite games is Villainous. Villainous is a fantastic game.
I meant to mention that one earlier.
Oh yeah,
another great game.
Fantastic game. It's pretty much straight up card games.
Yep.
One thing that I love about card games, I enjoy just shuffling cards in my hands. I mean, I
such
just
a good feeling.
I love doing that.
I do that with my debit and credit cards. I don't even care what it is if I can hand shuffle.
And you've gotten me addicted now to sleeving things because shuffling sleeved cards.
It's so good.
It's so satisfying.
It feels so good in the hands. And then Jim with Commander. Right, Commander is my favorite format in all of Magic. Period.
Yeah.
I mean, hands down. My Coma deck.
Yeah.
I mean, the theory crafting that we've been doing, going through cards.
Yeah.
Guys. Yeah, you just played that deck, and I literally destroyed you. Yeah, next time you better bring out your big guns because it's gonna be even worse for you.
It's something else. I ain't gonna lie.
And
Dan's like, hey, help me building this a little bit. I'm like, hey, we gotta make this sexy.
And it is, man. Oh my goodness,
gorgeous.
It is beautiful. Gorgeous. It's awesome, and that goes into the theory crafting of, because we were even just talking about what route we want to go with, how do we want to build it, because with Coma, so for those of you that don't know Coma, Michael. so I mean, Michael, you've played Magic, you've played Commander, so you have at least a general understanding, right?
Sure.
So the Commander for the deck is the one card that you basically build the entire deck around, that you basically always have access to.
Yeah.
So Coma is a 7-costed character, 3 generic mana, 2 green and 2 blue.
Big boy.
Big boy, 6/6, a 6/6 serpent. Right, it's a giant snake, and
it's the Cosmos Serpent.
Yeah, which actually in Norse mythology
is it the world serpent?
Yes.
Okay.
Pretty
much. I was gonna say, isn't? I thought it was supposed to be Leviathan.
No. No, Coma is definitely the world serpent. In Norse mythology, that's what Coma is. Is the world serpent. All right. So basically,
I'm super nerdy on.
Oh, Norse mythology is where it's at. I love Norse mythology. Yeah, all of mythology. Yeah. Like my favorite probably would be Norse.
Yeah.
And Norse and Greek. See, they're all awesome.
Greek is great.
They
Roman's
really
great.
are.
Egyptian's fun.
They all are. They
I
really
love me
are
some
cool.
Anubis. Oh,
They really are cool.
Yeah.
So, and that's where when you get Magic going through their versions
Yeah.
of them, it's cool. So
Yeah.
anyway, what Coma does is on every person's turn, you get a 3/3 serpent. Okay. Yeah. Coma also has an activated ability where you can sacrifice a serpent to make Coma indestructible, or you can sack a serpent to tap down another creature, and then that creature cannot activate its abilities until the end of the turn.
Yeah, that one's pretty good too.
It's a pretty broken card. Oof. Now, granted, it's a 7 mana. It's 7-drop.
Yeah,
it
like
is a
that's
7-drop.
hard.
It's like that's hard and Civic.
Yeah.
All right, come on. But anyway, so that's what Coma does. So there's many different routes you can go. Token generator. You can go all counter spells. I mean, basically, once Coma's on the field,
Protect them.
Yeah. So that's pretty much what I did. I threw a ton of counter spells in there, and I just decided, you know what? What's better than one Coma? How about like 2 Comas, maybe 3 Comas?
3 Comas? No, I don't like 3.
How about
Let's
4?
go higher.
4?
4?
5?
Let's go higher.
I totally went the copy route.
Yeah.
There is a rule in Magic where it's the legendary rule. Coma is, so with Commander, it's you pick a legendary creature to lead your deck, right?
Yep.
So there is a rule, the legendary rule, where if you control 2 legendary creatures with the same name, you have to sacrifice 1 because you can only keep 1 legendary.
Fair.
Yeah.
There's ways around that.
Of course, there always are. With all of these card games, there's always ways around.
And they're all in the deck.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh boy.
So yeah, it's
So what you're
for
telling
me,
me,
it's fun.
Yeah.
What you're telling me is next time you invite me over to play Commander, I should say no.
Well,
This is for the other group.
Yeah, it's for the other group.
This is not for
No,
beginners.
no,
The
what
group
we'll
you talked
do-
about in episode 1.
What we'll do
Yes.
is we'll give
Thanks,
Michael
Kolos.
we'll give Michael the Coma deck.
Oh man,
We'll see how
I
he
wouldn't
does.
even target him at all. I just feel like let him go off.
Here's the thing, though, is whenever I play, since I know absolutely nothing about Magic or what to do, I just play what sounds fun.
Well, it's funny and true because Michael, which deck of mine did you pick? Did you choose?
I don't even remember the name. It's the Hydra dude.
Yeah, the Hydra. All the
Gargos.
Hydras.
Gargos, yes.
Gargos. Which
It sounded fun.
And that deck is fun. That deck is fun.
Hydras are fun.
I played it once. I got destroyed.
Yeah.
Gargos
you did.
player was like, no, that's way too scary. I'm like, dude, I played one creature. I played one. He's like, it's too big. I'm like, what do you want from me? They're all big.
Oh, dude, that's fun. All right. Well, that was fun.
That was a long podcast.
Yeah. Michael, thanks for being here. That was a lot of
No
fun.
problem. Thanks
You,
for having
It was a
me.
blast.
Yeah, and you're we're gonna get you back on a few more episodes for sure.
For sure, the whole D&D episode.
After we do our one shot, we'll
Yeah,
have to
yeah,
have
yeah,
an
for
episode
sure,
pretty
for
much
sure.
devoted
Yes,
to that.
we will. We'll have to do the one shot,
Yeah.
and then we'll do an episode just discussing it.
Yeah.
Totally. All right. Well, that's been episode 5, guys. Thank you so much for being here, both you guys, and then everybody listening. Thank you so much for listening into episode 5. Be here next week. We have no idea what we're going to talk about next week, but you know what? It's going to be fun.
We'll be ready.
Like always, these episodes are a lot of fun. So again, thanks for being here, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks a bunch.
All
Take
right.
care.
See you, everybody.